Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Epic 7 video for you guys today, and today we're going to be talking all about Conqueror Lilias and how you guys are going to want to build her and actually invest into her. Now we're making this video because she was the top tier pick, I'd say one of the top 3 picks from the Moonlight Headhunting event, which was basically an event for a free ML 5-star, which you guys have most likely chosen for if you didn't have her. And also we all have her Mystic Banner running right now, so a lot of you guys have probably pulled for her or at least tried to. And for that reason, we're just going to talk about how you guys actually want to allocate your stats into her, what kind of sets, what kind of gear you want to run on her, and also artifact. And we're also going to talk about how you want to invest in her Molagora or skill enhancing wise. Now starting off, there are basically going to be 2 builds that you run on your Conqueror Lilias. So I have her on a super fast build. You'll most likely see everyone running her on this, but there's also those few people that like to run her on a slower, but more tankier build to catch people off guard. Now, the reason why I like to run her on the fast build is because of the fact that you can actually play very aggressively with her. You can open battles with her because of her base speed being pretty high. You can even cleave with her or even speed contest with her as well if you can push her into the higher speeds of like 300 plus. So for that reason, I like her on a pretty fast build. Now, the reason why people like her on slow builds sometimes is because of the fact that there are a lot of cleansers out there, especially like Mediator Cowrick that can counter Conqueror Lilias' opening. And for that reason, you try to build her slower than them, so it makes them in an awkward position where they have to decide whether, like for example, if Mediator Cowrick wants to S3 before Conqueror Lilias takes her turn to get that attack buff up. So for that reason, you know, some people will run her on that slower build, but I personally recommend the faster build unless you're newer to the game and don't have a lot of speed gear. Then you can run her on that slower build and she'll work pretty much fine as well. But personally, I like the flexibility of being able to cleave as well with my Conqueror Lilias. So for that, you want to push for as high speed as you can if you go for the fast build. Upwards of like 300, right? You want to go from anywhere from 280 to like 300-ish, even 310 if you have really good gear. If not, and you want to run her on the slower build, you want to put her on like 240 to 260 speed. Now the rest of your stats you want to go into bulk, HP or health, and defense are very good. You're going to want to prioritize health though, because health is generally the better stat. Now some people like to run effectiveness on their Conqueror Lilias. I personally recommend against it because of the fact that it will make it so it's even harder to build her to be fast enough and tanky enough to survive, and also because you're not going to be able to get enough effectiveness to actually be able to provoke with her S2 onto high ER units, right? The reason why you go high effectiveness on Conqueror Lilias is not going to be because of her S3. You don't really care too much about that decreased attack on like high effect resist units. The only reason why you want her S3 to land is because it will cripple damage dealing units, which most likely will not have a lot of effect resist anyways, but mostly because you want that S2 to land on those cleansing units so they can't really cleanse that S3 debuff, the decreased attack buff, off of the surrounding damage dealing units. The thing is, a lot of cleansers in this game will be at like 200% effect resist, right? So if you look at my Destina here, you're going to see she's at 185, and with her passive from her S3, she's at 240% effect resist. Now to counteract that, you're going to need a ton of effectiveness to actually counteract that. So not really feasible for her, right? If you want to actually counter, like my Destina, for example, if you want to counteract her 240% effect resist, you're going to need like 240% effectiveness as well, which is definitely not feasible at all. So yeah, definitely recommend just skipping out on effectiveness, guys. Just go for speed, health, and defense. And like I said, as long as you're at like 280 speed plus, or if you're on the slower build, 240 speed plus, you're good to go. And for health and defense, just put the rest of your substats in there. If you just have like a health main stat necklace and a health main stat ring, you should be able to push her upwards of like 16k, 18k health, and that is tanky enough for the most part. So yeah, for set, guys, obviously you want to go speed set because she relies very heavily on speed. For secondary set though, guys, you can go pretty much health set or effectiveness set. You know, even though you don't really want to build her on high effectiveness, having just like a little bit from like the effectiveness set, like that 20%, is fine because of the fact that you'll have some random units with like leftover substats into effect resist. Like look at this helmet, for example. You'll see that I had this on Conqueror Lilias and she's getting 5% effect resist, and if you look at her overall effect resist, it's at 14%. So just by having a little bit of effectiveness from that effectiveness set, you can bypass that, you know, leftover substat going into effect resist. So looking at her artifact, guys, so I personally think her best option is going to be that nostalgic music box. This is from a side story during Christmas time because of the fact that it'll make her bulkier with that defense percent boost, and also because you will actually be able to proc the secondary effect where you're giving a random buff to a random ally every single turn using non-attack skill pretty frequently. So let's say your Conqueror Lilias takes a turn. If you S3, you proc your artifact one time, and then you get an extra turn from her S3, and you can S2 right after, and you get another proc of her artifact, sorry. So the reason why it's really strong is because you can apply this very often, and because you build her fast enough, even though her S1 does not apply it, you can actually cycle very quickly enough where your S3 and S2 will come up. Most likely Conqueror Lilias, if they are built on a good build where they're fast enough and also tanky enough to survive, they'll actually get multiple S3s and S2s off, making it so that you get a lot of value out of this artifact. Now, if you don't have this artifact, there's a lot of decent other options as well. You can go Champion's Trophy. This will give you effectiveness, which is okay, but mostly because you can stun with your S1, so you can disrupt enemy teams this way. It's pretty decent as well. You can also go a very popular artifact on her right now, which is going to be Border Coin. Some people like to run this over the Music Box, but I personally like the Music Box over Border Coin, but Border Coin is still a very good option because of the fact that you'll get, similar to Music Box, after using a non-attack skill, you get an effect, and you're going to see for this one, you're going to get attack and speed, mostly going to be for the speed here because you don't really care about her damage. Some people even like to run like Proof of Valor or even Warhorn on her. Just a lot of good options. If you're looking for the free-to-play option, Warhorn will be it because Warhorn is for free from the guild shop if you actually farm enough currency. So yeah, pretty powerful, guys. This is how you really want to build her. Now, what about skill enhances and Molagora? So for skill enhances, guys, basically you want to max out her S3 and her S2 because it gives her the maximum effect chance. S1 you don't really care about too much because the damage from her S1 from herself is pretty low. Most of the damage is going to come if you actually bring a damage dealing unit with the dual attack that procs from her S1. So max out the effect chance for her S3 so you can actually get that 100% chance, and also the S2 as well for that 100% chance as well. Pretty standard, right, for most opening units. You just want to make sure their effect chances are maxed out. So yeah, this unit, guys, is pretty crazy. I definitely recommend pulling for her if you don't have her. She's very, very good in PvP. You'll see her everywhere in Guild Wars defense, everywhere in Arena defense. You'll see her first picked a lot of times in World Arena, or even second picked if Lua's still up. And for PvE, she's extremely powerful in Ancient Inheritance and also Hollow Trials, and you can just run her there on your PvP build and you don't have to change anything at all, and she's very, very strong. Conqueror Lilias, guys, definitely must build. If you have her, build her. If you don't have her, I would recommend pulling for her from the Mystic Banner. If you miss out on her, it's okay. She'll return in the future. Smilegate will most likely run her again within the next year or so, and she is due for a rerun in the coin shop as well, so you can also buy her there as well in the near future. That being said, hope this video helped you guys out, guys, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.